RPG Day 2023, and we've made it as far as day 18, and today is favourite game system. And for favourite game system, I'm thinking, I assume that any of you that have listened to more than about 3 of my videos or have heard me talk about things or run things can probably take a guess at what I'm going to talk about. Still a good convention purchase. And it all started with Hollow Earth Expedition, literally, because it's the first system that first game that used the system, and secondly because it was my introduction to it. I ended up, because I didn't think I was going to be able to get a copy, I ended up with it and Leagues of Adventure at the same time. So, system is Ubiquity. It's used in a whole stack of games. Like I say, Hollow Earth Expedition, which is just glorious, was the original. Desolation, which I have, but I've got to admit I haven't played. Leagues of Adventure, which was the like I say, I bought Hollow Earth Expedition, ended up getting Leagues of Adventure at pretty much the same time, put out by Triple Ace Games, who have really picked up Ubiquity. I know Wiggy really loves Ubiquity. So they've since done Leagues of Gothic Horror, which is an expansion for Leagues of Adventure, which worked way better than I thought it was going to. Really takes you into somewhere that can be quite dark and quite bleak, which I wasn't sure Ubiquity was going to handle, but it really does. They've also done Leagues of Cthulhu, which is an expansion for Leagues of Gothic Horror. So you are getting a bit away. You need 3 sets of books to be able to run that. All for One Regieme Diabolique, which is again Triple Ace Games, really good Musketeers with vampires and werewolves and things that go bump in the night. Quantum Black, which is a modern action horror game. Again, I have the supplements for it. I haven't got it to the table yet, but it is in the it's in the game plan. And I've also got to give a shout out to Space 1889. Clockwork Publishing, who unfortunately aren't around anymore. They published it in German and then did English translations. And Ubiquity, I love. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Space 1889, and I struggle to learn lore. But I like to know what the canon answers to questions are. It's just the way my brain works. And Space 1889, that Clockwork Publishing version, I found brilliant. The books were really well organized. You could jump in and find an answer to a question that you had without having to read 4 books and like 30 years worth of lore in order to understand it. So really, really nice. I'm really pleased I've got all of those. And on top of that, there's also some expansions. Black Campbell Publishing do some amazing stuff. I mean, they do a Cairo source book, a Shanghai source book, which can be used in other games, but aimed at Ubiquity. Sky Pirates of the Mediterranean is pretty much a setting all on its own. And there's a fantastic Old West setting, which I've run a couple of times. I think there's actual plays on the channel of me running it. I got a bit fast and loose with the rules. Thought I could remember more than I could, but I had a lot of fun with that. So there's an ever-growing set of games that use it, and I think they all use it because primarily it's quick, it's very fast, it's very fluid, it's very easy to understand, it's easy to run. If you want a modifier for something, you can pluck it out of the air and it makes sense. It's also very easy to change granularity. If you get into a situation where you need to kind of really use the rules, you can, but it doesn't demand that. There are points where you can play quite fast and loose without breaking it. Or without watering it down and not playing it the way it's meant to be played. I'm probably not doing a great job of explaining that, but there are times when you just go, okay, right, we're just going to do it like this, and you run through. And then there's other times where grappling suddenly becomes really important, and you need to dig out the grappling rules. And there also, it's got to be said, very simple. They make sense. There's a core mechanic to it. I also like it. So the system, for those of you that don't know it, and I'll put some links. Runeslinger's got some great videos on it. Greek Orthodoxy, I think it is. I found a blog post this morning that had some great stuff on it. So I'll put a link to that in. Yeah, it uses a small dice pool of basically 1d2 of basically d2s. So every dice, if you've got a dice with even sides, which let's be honest, most of them have, you can use any of those, roll and odds of success, odds of failures and evens of successes, or you can use bespoke dice, or you could flip coins or whatever. The key thing about it, the thing that really separates it for me, is because it's a dice pool of D2s, under certain circumstances, I mean, you could do it all the time, but in practice, it's probably about 50% of dice rolls. You just go, okay, right, we'll take the average. So if you've got 6 dice, we'll say you got a 3, or you can roll for it because you might get more, you might get less. But if if you're not under pressure and you've got double the skill points for the difficulty challenge, you just do it, which speeds the game up. And it also means you don't get that terrible swinginess where you've got somebody that's really good at something and they roll and they completely mess something up. But it doesn't also just let you hand wave it and go, oh, yeah, no, you're good at all of that kind of stuff. It means that stats on the character sheet are important. And most of the time, you get what you expect. In practice, it works really well. I also like the style point system. So with style points as a standard, you can spend a style point to get an extra dice in your pool. So if you spend 2 style points, you can either get an automatic success if you're taking the average, or you can get you're likely most of the time 2 style points will add an extra success. Um, and you get style points for doing things that are genre appropriate. Um, Characters have weaknesses. If you play into those weaknesses, you generate style points, which are then worth it. So it's a game where I tend to find it really leans into the genre. You get games which end up feeling like the fiction that you're trying to emulate or control, and that just works for me. And like I say, as a result, somehow they've built a system that seems to work great for gritty horror and works great for heroic pulp and pretty much does everything in between, which is a surprise. There aren't that many systems which are that versatile. I've had a lot of fun playing it. I've had a lot of fun introducing people to role playing with it. Um, for a long time, it was absolutely my go-to. If I wanted to do something where I was like, yeah, how are we going to approach this? What's this? I've got an idea. What system are we going to use? I'd just reach for Ubiquity. Now I will maybe not. There's some other systems out there that I might lean to, but still Ubiquity's key, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, so that's my favorite game system, Ubiquity. I would definitely suggest Hollow Earth Expedition. You can get the PDF. It looks like, at least in the States, there's somebody that's doing the books, which I didn't think there were. But like I say, any of those games, are definitely worth having. Um, there were specialist Ubiquity dice that were, some of them, so you had, I can't remember what the colors were now, I've got them, but they were basically D8s, and they were set up so that one color dice would be a single roll, a different color dice would be rolling 2 dice, a different color dice would be rolling 3 dice. What I've got, and I should have got them out before I recorded, are some really nice dice that were made by Triple Ace Games, and they are D6s where only 3 of the faces have got things on them, so they are effectively D2s. But anyway, yeah, great system. That was day 18, and I will be back tomorrow. Have a good day.